Hello?
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, not a problem. And it's a complete honor to be able to talk to you. This is an interview I've wanted to do ever since I started doing interviews, and I'm so thankful to be able to talk to you and talk about this amazing album that's just coming out in a couple days.
Right on, thank you.
Oh, no problem. And of course, that album is Titans of Creation, coming out on Friday through Nuclear Blast. I've gotten the chance to be able to check this album out over the course of the last month or so, and I just love where the band is at right now. This album feels like it's a culmination of all my favorite parts of Testament. I mean, whether it's thrashy, whether it's brutal, whether it's melodic. I mean, there's so many different parts that's going on here that just fits together so very well.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's definitely a record that, we thought at the beginning was taking a direction like the Brotherhood record, but once all the records, all the songs started coming in, it really did take a different direction in its own life, and a lot of the songs really did start taking on their own identities. So it made it for kind of, make it more of a dynamic record.
Yeah, and I'm always a fan of those kind of records too. I mean, sometimes you need those straight ahead thrashy albums, but I do love the diversity because it shows all the different sides of a band on one record, and you definitely hear that here. I mean, even though it is very much a metal record, I love all the dynamics that are going on.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, of course. So, with it in mind, I mean, how did the songwriting process begin for this album?
Well, we meant to start working on it much sooner. We wanted to put out the record within a couple of years of the Brotherhood record. But of course, we got asked to do the Slayer farewell tour, so that kind of, when they ask, you got to do that. So once we finished that tour, I think we were kind of fired up and ready to go and get started on writing, and knew that going into it, we wanted to make a thrashier record. We wanted a little more thrashier than Brotherhood. That's all we kind of discussed, and the first song was Children of the Next Level. We wrote musically, lyrically, and, that song really could have been like that. It really had that same formula and feeling and lyric content. But then all the songs started kind of taking on their own life and their own identities as they started coming in. So the process was definitely a lot better process, a lot smoother. The songs were there, easier to put them together than the last one. So it was definitely an easier process this time around.
Oh, and I'm so glad to hear that too. I mean, I know sometimes when the songwriting process and the recording process are sometimes struggles, that can also lead to a great record, but so can everything go as smooth as possible when it comes to songwriting and recording. I mean, when that goes as smooth as possible, you're able to iron out all the problems and make the songs the way you really want them to be.
Yeah, but I think on this record, we didn't do a demos. We kind of had a bunch of riffs, bunch of lyrics, bunch of parts. Didn't hear any of the songs written with bass at all till we started recording the record. So a lot of the stuff really came to life and got created, and a lot of vocal melodies found in the studio while we were tracking, which I think made it better because we really went off our gut instinct, especially vocally. Just I kind of stuck with what I came up with patterns on the first instinct. And I think it just made, the record feel like we're not second guessing what we're doing or second guessing the patterns or some things. So we really kind of just put our backs against the wall and got in the studio and just had to get it done. And I think sometimes, and I know on Brotherhood we did that, it got us to be a little more creative. And I think on this record, the same thing happened. It just made us get a little more creative when the studio while we were putting things together and making it all work.
Oh, I really love that idea. I mean, that spontaneity in the studio and just being able to go with that gut instinct. And I mean, when you talk about that, how many songs would you say were like that? Was it like all of them like that, or just some particular songs?
I'd say 5 to 6 songs vocally. I would have the music and just a bunch of riffs. The songs weren't really laid out all the way, and I just kind of said, let's push play and let me just mumble my way through there and just see what happens. And songs like World War III, Dream Deceiver, The Healers, so a couple other songs that were ones where I just went in there and started mumbling my way and found, either a word like Dream Deceiver and that part and built it off of that, or Nuclear Warhead on World War III. I came up with that part, mumbling it out and built it around that. So it all just kind of, like spontaneous. Just let it roll and see what inspires you and what comes out. And we decided to stick with the first gut instinct, that felt right.
Oh, and again, I mean, that's just so cool to be able to hear that worked out for songs like that, because, sometimes that is the right way to go about it. And some of those songs, like you just mentioned, that did have that spontaneity in the studio like that. I mean, they sound like they were songs that were like fully fledged made before the recording process. So it's awesome to see how you were able to do that in the studio.
Yeah, I mean, we took a chance. I mean, we could have really screwed it up and went in there unprepared and not been able to put it together. So fortunate for us, we made it work. And we just don't know how we'll approach the next one. We just kind of, approach them as they come and happen and where we're at. So I think we're fortunate to have a really solid lineup, really strong band right now. Everybody did a killer job on their tracks for this record. Like I said, a lot of the songs and riffs and stuff I came up with was written before the bass. I never even heard the bass till the record was recorded. So that's when all of a sudden it took another dimension for me. I was like, wow, that bass and vocals and drums are a killer part, like songs like Ishtar's Gate, where there's the featured bass part at the beginnings. I never heard that till we got in the studio, So things just kind of it was fun in a sense, but we were fortunate that we had a lot of stuff that really worked together.
Yeah, and that also goes with, like you were talking about, having such a strong lineup and having everyone a part of the band being so well-crafted in what they can do. So when you are able to have the bass come in later and you're hearing that for the first time, Steve is going to be able to come up with some amazing parts that are going to fit the song so well.
Oh, yeah, and then when I heard it, and the bass tone and everything was just like, wow, just monstrous stuff, and it really just took on a whole new life.
Oh, very much so. So, with that in mind, I mean, obviously, with you being able to be in the studio recording and also on the production side, I mean, what is that like for you to be on both sides of the recording studio like that?
Well, I mean, I know musically Eric's mostly on the production end of that. He's really into the drum beats and the timing and playing of the guitar. Most of the vocals, I'm on the production side of that part of it. I really want to, I usually want to stick to what I come up with, I don't think Alex came up with a song, Symptoms, on this one, so I worked with what he gave me on that song, but most of the time, if I'm writing the song, I stick with what I'm doing,
Oh yeah, and that totally makes sense, and obviously with the final outcome of it, I mean, it sounds so great with the vocal production that you do with that. When you are doing that, like, how long did it take for you to start getting comfortable with that vocal production and being able to get that sound that you're looking for in the studio?
It's difficult, especially when you don't do demos and you record it for the first time, and sometimes you'll live with it. And there's, I think, a song, maybe two songs I went and re-sang, just because, the first time I sang it, and I listen back, and I'm like, it sounds like I'm maybe not comfortable. It sounds like I'm singing it for the first time. And then I'll go back and redo something like that, until it's correct. But just little tweaks like that, those are the little production tweaks, because the melodies are there, the patterns are there, the words are there. It's just that I've never sang it before, and this sounds like it's the first time I sang it. You know that you can perform it better or give it a better performance than what you just did. And I can hear that, and I'll hear and go, okay, let me try that again, and then I'll focus on one line and nail it, and then just move on. And, so in that sense, that's how it works.
Oh, that's just awesome, and I'm glad to see that you are able to adapt to that situation. Like I mean, when you're not going in with some demos, I mean, just being able to go on the fly and being able to work on both sides of that in the studio, and just again with the final product that's here with the Titans of Creation. I mean, I really love the vocal production and the fact that it does sound like it's been worked on for so very long. But again, some spontaneity in the studio and just being able to go with that gut instinct. Again, that shows just like the quality of what you and the rest of the band are capable of.
Yeah, and it's actually makes it interesting and fun as far as writing records, because I don't know what the next record holds in store. I don't know where it's going to start, or end up. But I do know it'll be a testament record, and sometimes I look forward to maybe I get to try something new again and different. That's the fun part of being a musician and being creative, is when you get out of the comfort zone and try new things and find new ways to do things. That keeps it interesting.
Oh, totally. So, with that in mind, I mean, obviously with releasing singles and having people be able to check out songs from the album, I mean, what was it like to decide what were going to be the singles from this album?
It's always very tough. I mean, things even changed. I think Children of the Next Level probably should have been the first one. And we kept thinking of all these other songs and let people decide. And then, after we put out Night of the Witch, we're like, man, Children of the Next Level, what are we doing? That's got to be the single. So we changed the second single to Children. But it does get difficult, But, I think, like, as far as Children of the Next Level, maybe we overlooked it because we wrote it first. It had been done the longest, and we lived with it the longest. So, but when we sat back, we're like, but you know what? That one still is the strongest.
Yeah, it's funny how that works too. I mean, especially when you're creating your own art and you sit with something for so long, sometimes you forget about how special that art is until the fans start to see it and hear it for the first time, and you remember what made that song so good in the first place.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and that is such a strong opening track, and yeah, I mean, I love the fact that it was released as a single, but from my personal taste, I still love that Night of the Witch was released as a single too, because I think to me it shows that dynamics that's going on just in the singles alone with the album. I mean, the fact that has almost more of a black metal feel to it compared to what Children of the Next Level is, and just showing that dynamics, I love that.
Yeah, it was a tough choice, but I thought Night of the Witch definitely showed a different, like you said, dynamic. Especially Eric singing the chorus on the song. It just had a whole different feel of Testament. So I think that was a good choice to do that. Children of the Next Level, I think this week we're going to see the video finally. We decided to do an animated video for that song. I thought the topic we wrote about Heaven's Gate would make a great storyline as far as an animated video. So that's going to be fun when it comes out this week.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out too, because just like you said, with the lyrical topic that's going on with it with Heaven's Gate, I mean, there's so much that you could cover in a video, and the fact that it is in animated form and you're able to go about it that way, I'm so intrigued to check it out.
Yeah, it's fun when you see yourself as an animated character. It's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, I mean when you do like the standard videos for so long and you're able to see yourself that way, you're able to see yourself from live pictures and stuff like that. When you get to see yourself in animated form, in a different kind of animation, I mean that's really cool to be able to see that.
Yeah, it's fun. We have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, totally. And, and speaking of art and animation, and although a different kind of artwork, I mean, I love what's going on with the actual album artwork for this album. I mean, it just has that classic Testament feel to it, but it's updated just enough for 2020. I really like the way that came out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we didn't know. You never know until it's complete. We've seen that thing from a sketch, pencil sketch, where, you don't really see the vision. And we didn't have him create that based on a title either yet. We didn't have a title for the record until about a week before we had to deliver all the artwork and everything. When the record was finished and the art was done, we're looking at it trying to figure out, what is this record going to be called? What do these songs mean? What is it? But based on looking at the art, we knew that they were pouring a vase of DNA creating mankind, basically. So we knew that there was some sort of creation going on, but we couldn't figure out, what are these guys here? Are they gods? Are they demons? Are they aliens? Are they humans? And what are they doing? Are they forging life? Are they wielding hammers? We couldn't figure out what is it. What is it? And like I said, a week before delivering it, Eric came up with the word Titans of creation. And we're like, okay, yeah, those could be Titans. That makes sense, and it kind of fits the theme of the process of putting these songs together. The creation process of it. And so that's kind of where fell into place.
No, and again, I love that. I mean, I love that approach that was going into it. And, sometimes you don't need a title all the way from the beginning. I mean, sometimes it can come up so soon to sending in everything that you need to get the artwork made. And, Titans of Creation, especially when you look at the artwork, just really does fit the overall mood of the album. It fits the artwork so well. And that's another thing that I do love about Testament so much is the artwork is such a great display of what that album is about. I mean, especially with the last few albums, I mean, every time that you look at one of those album covers, you know what you're getting into with each album.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, totally. So when you finally got to check out the final product and everything, and knowing how it came out and everything, I mean, how do you feel about like the final result of what came out with the album?
We're very happy. I mean, we're pretty pleased with Andy Sneap. I think he did a great job on his mix. You're always trying to make your record sound better than the last record and top it. And we put a lot of trust in Andy. We've worked with him long enough. I think he knows what we like and what we're looking for. And I think the timing, we waited on this record for him to be available. He was out touring with Judas Priest, and, once he had some time off, it was right in our window. So right away we just, I think maybe him having a couple of years of off, maybe he was ready to get in the studio and get back to making a record. And I think he did a great job mixing this record, probably some of his best work.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that too. I mean, when it comes to like the mixing that comes with it, I love the fact that everything is coming out so clear and so audible. And every time that you're looking for something in particular, be it a riff, be it a fill, be it a vocal line, whatever, I mean, you can hear it so distinctly, and that's a sign of a great record.
Yeah, he really just did a great job separating everything, but making them sound big, which, when you're trying to make everything big, there's not a lot of space. So that he accomplished it.
Oh, totally. And yeah, I mean, there's only so much room that you can do that when it comes to mixing. And yeah, just like you said, I mean, the fact that he was on the road for so long with Priest and being able to come back and do this record like that, I mean, I just love the fact that he was able to make the time to make that happen, because if you got someone other than Andy to be able to mix it, I think it would have had a completely different feel to it.
It would, and we always talk about maybe we'll get somebody else to mix it, try it, but then when it comes down to it, we're like, but why? We know Andy, what he's going to do, and he's just going to make it better than the last record,
Oh, exactly. And yeah, that's another reason why I do appreciate that mix and mastering so much that's going on the production side, because when the songs sound that good, production-wise, it gets you so excited to be able to hear these songs in the live setting. And I know once everything gets back to the way that it's supposed to be, these songs are just going to sound so killer live.
Oh, yeah, this record, I know that it's going to have a good live feeling. Children of the Next Level, we added to the set that we just did in Europe on March 6th. We started playing it once the single was released. And just the rehearsal, just to getting ready to play it live, it came together so quick. And when songs come together quick like that and sound better live and just have a better feeling, it's a good one, at that point.
So when you did add that, I mean, what was the crowd reception when you started playing that live?
Oh, it was immediately just the banging their head. I mean, it just has such a good, strong groove. Right away, they grabbed the crowd right away. And we played it. It was just released that day on the 6th, and we played it that night. So it was kind of cool to see the crowd actually knew it, that night. So that was a good sign as well.
Oh, and I'm so glad to hear that too, because I mean, obviously with not getting the chance to be able to hear that song live yet, I just imagine that live reception and being able to hear that in that live setting, just the crowd going wild for that and actually knowing the song too. I mean, that's another great sign of like technology, being able to hear the song when it gets released and being able to listen to it so much before going to the show and being able to appreciate it that much more live.
Yeah, it was really good, and it was just, like I said, we are feeling it too. I mean, we were playing it with such a good feeling, and we were playing it really tight, very confident. So the crowd, they felt it as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. And yeah, and I mean, when everything gets back into touring and everything, being able to see what songs you're going to be adding to the set, from previous records off this record, I mean, there's so many different directions that it can go in. I can't wait to see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to put a set together, but it's only going to force us to have to play longer shows to be able to play more songs.
And speaking of that, I mean, what is that like for you? I mean, with every album cycle, I mean, obviously you get to throw in new material, but when you are setting up for a tour, I mean, what is that like for you to be able to decide what songs are going to be thrown in from the past?
Well, the old classics, those are pretty easy, because a lot of them we played for so long, we'll pick out a handful. But like on the Bass Strikes Back tour we just did in Europe, we put all the old songs aside, really, and try to go deep cuts. And it was very fun to do, because there's some songs just work live and some songs don't. You want to play them live, but when you start rehearsing them, they just don't sound right. For this tour, we were playing some deep tracks that would just made it fun. And then at the end of the show, we put like 5 or 6 old tunes together. And it was really cool just because it was a good show, deep cuts. And at the end, we hit them with 5 classics. And they just went nuts right about starting with Into the Pit. And it was made for a really good show.
Oh, that's so cool. And yeah, I remember looking at that set when that started happening. And yeah, I mean, when you put in Into the Pit right there, after doing all these lesser played live and B-side songs, I mean, that's just like the perfect time to be able to unleash those classic songs and just see those pits getting wild.
Yeah, it was, and every night it was the same thing. So we knew it was the right song selections. The crowd responded to it everywhere we went. So it was a very fun, successful tour for us.
So do you see you doing that more often, being able to throw in more of those B-sides that don't get to be played as much?
We want to do it because, it's fun to do. And, the easy, lazy way is just to play what you know, and we've done that long enough.
Oh, yeah, and, being able to see you guys as much as I have, I mean, I do love it when you throw in those B-sides and the songs that don't get played as much live, but, I still love the classics as well, too, and just the fact that you're able to meld those together, and especially now being able to do more of the B-sides, I mean, I love the fact that, even in this stage, you're able to still switch up those sets and make every Testament tour worth seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun and it's challenging, but I think, for a true Testament fan that knows a lot of the material, it makes it tough to put a show together, because it's hard to please everybody,
Oh, yeah, and especially when there's so many different sides to what's going on, too, and, I can imagine with the guitar tuning and stuff like that, I mean, you want to be able to have as much stage time as possible, too, and be able to play as many songs as you possibly can.
Right, yeah.
No, totally. But, again, just like looking at that set from you did over in Europe, I love the fact that you did that. And again, once everything comes back here in North America and the rest of the touring that'll happen for this album cycle, I'm so excited to see what's going to be coming of that, hearing the songs that are going to be coming off there, and just the future in Testament in general, because and this is where you guys are at in 2020. I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, we're waiting. We're excited for things to get back to be normal and get back there and play. Just things to get normal people to start having some fun again.
Oh, exactly. We really need that, and with obviously the positives and so many negatives of what's going on in the world right now, I do love the fact that this album is coming out in a couple days, because the world needs something like this, especially the metal world needs a great album to be able to sit down and enjoy during these times. And I think Titans of Creation is that album that really fits that need right now.
Awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward. We were asked, if we thought we should delay the record and postpone it, and we decided no, it's a good time. People are home. give them something new, So, yeah, let's just stick with the plan.
Absolutely. And, I think with that, I think that's an amazing note to end on. And again, thank you very much for taking this time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in your world right now. And of course, the brand new album from Testament, Titans of Creation, coming out this Friday through Nuclear Blast. I love this album. It's easily going to be one of my favorite albums come the end of the year. And I just loved being able to talk about everything that's going on and everything to look forward to in the future. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, not a problem. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
I think you got everything. We got the video coming out, and hopefully you got some touring plans ahead of us, and, hopefully you see everybody out there on the road getting back into normal.